Hi everybody, and I just want to go through some basics before we start the class. Just remember to look at the syllabus and check the dates. If you have any questions about the dates, please message me on the Kakao group chat or message me via my email address that's in the syllabus. And if you haven't already, please check which Google Classroom you need to be signed on to. The passwords are there. If you need any help with the Google Classroom, please again send me a message using Kakao Talk or ask another student who's already signed on to Google Classroom. If you go onto the website, it should help you give you instructions about how to sign up for the class. Another thing you need to make sure that you get done is to be on the IQ Online practice. This you can find at the front of your book, the first 2 pages. If you follow the instructions there and sign up for my class, you can see on this slide here the class codes that I've recommended for you to join. Please make sure you join the right class, because I'll need to check to see whether you've done the work that I've assigned you through this website. This is the schedule for 003. There will be this won't be the complete schedule. If you have any questions about that, you need to contact me. As you know, due to the coronavirus, the schedules had to be changed slightly this semester, but if you just check through there, that'll give you details about the midterms, the projects and the finals. And if you have any more questions, as I said, contact me. This schedule is for my 023 class. Again, as I said previously to the other class, look at there for the midterms, the projects, the finals and other relevant dates. If you have questions about holidays, contact me. And this one's for my 029 class, and again all the dates are there, midterms, finals, projects, and as I said, any questions, contact me. So this is also the schedule for class 026. Check the midterm dates, the final dates, the project dates and other dates that are relevant to you, and let me know if you have any questions. If we haven't done the midterm already, if this class is before the midterm, please make sure you understand about the role plays for the midterms. Here's the slide for that, and there's lots of information there. And I think it would be good for you to remember that everyone should be involved in role plays, whether it's for the midterm or not, that all students should participate thoroughly in that role play. So these are the what you need to study for the midterm and the finals. If we haven't done the midterms yet, please check units 1, 2, 3 and 4. You can see the pages that are required on there. So unit 1, for example, has vocabulary questions from page 7 and grammar from page 20. The finals, if we've done the midterm already, don't forget the finals cover units 5, 6 and 7, and also the pages are there. If you have any questions about unit 7, because it's been blanked off there, let me know, but you should find those on my PPTs that I send via the Kakao open chat. This is a reminder about the project work. It's got the link on there. Actually, I've sent you the same slide to the Kakao Talk chat room. and I think if you just go on to the project table, which is on my Google Drive, and you can find more information about the projects there. Don't forget to work as a team to try to meet the deadlines, which are on the deadline pages, the schedule pages of the slides. So good luck. So in this lesson we're going to go through all the things that you will need to study for the midterm test, and there's quite a lot we've got to look at, and it's, to be honest though, it's not very difficult. I really believe you can do well. So the first page we need to turn to is page 7 in the book, and we're going to look at the vocabulary, and this is from the listening activity. So first of all, let's look at the words. There's 12 words, and what you need to do is try to remember the spelling, and if you can remember the spelling, that will really help in the test, especially if you need to write the word out, because spelling can really knock down a point in your test. So work on your spellings today if you can. So each word has a meaning, and we're going to look at these words, and maybe the word is similar in Korean. Maybe there's a Konglish, okay? But we're going to just look at the words now and the meanings of each word. So the first word that we've got here is acknowledge, and I'm going to go onto the dictionaries each time, and I'm going to find the meaning, read it out, okay? So it's a verb, so we're looking for the verb acknowledge, and the meaning I've got here is to accept or admit or recognize something, or the truth or existence of something, okay? And so you can use that verb in many different sentences. Okay, the second word we've got there is address, and it's the verb address. So it's not the noun address, the number of the house, but the verb address. So you need to find the verb, and address the verb means to speak or write to someone, or to give attention to, or deal with a matter or problem. Okay? To write a name, so you address something or you address a matter. So make sure when you're looking for that word, you make sure you pick the verb, not the noun, okay? And the next word is aspect, and this is a noun. An aspect means one part of a situation, a problem, or a subject. And I'm using the Cambridge dictionary here, and it's a good dictionary, it's quite reliable. And then there's a noun, criticism. Well, we know what that it is. To criticize is the verb. The noun is criticism, saying something negative about another person. Do you criticize people? Maybe you do. Let's go to the next one, which again is, it's another verb, and this word is exemplify. To be or give a typical example of something, okay? So he exemplifies, this painting perfectly exemplifies the naturalistic style which was so popular at the time. So it's being an example of something, okay? And the next word is another noun, expert, okay? And a person with a high level of knowledge or skill relating to a particular subject. Are you an expert in your field? Are you an expert in your major? Is your professor an expert? The next one is favoritism, a teacher's favorite word. Favoritism, and in England the spelling is different. In England the spelling is favoritism. So there's a U after the O in the English spelling, and it means unfair support shown to one person or group, especially by someone in authority. If you are showing favoritism, people don't like that very much. But everyone has their favorites if they're honest, right? But we just can't show it or say it, right? We're not allowed to show it or say it. And then the word issue. Issue in this case is a noun, a subject or problem that people are thinking and talking about. Some hot topic, some hot issue. Are there many hot issues these days? Okay. And then the word negotiate. Negotiate. Okay. And this is what you can do. You can look it up in the dictionary, and it's continue with all the other words and answer those questions for that one. Now we're going to look at the grammar. Okay, and this is on page 20, and the grammar here is about gerunds and infinitives. So gerunds and infinitives, if we go to page 20, we can see what they mean in the brown box. Okay, gerunds are verb plus ing, right? Gerunds are words plus ing, and a gerund is used as the subject of a sentence. The subject of your sentence. So if you look at page 20, the example given there is leading your team members is a tough job. Okay, so leading is a tough job. So in that sense, gerund, although it's like a verb, it acts like a subject. And gerunds are also used after prepositions such as about, of, in, for, and against, and after certain verbs such as consider, suggest, and recommend. Okay, so we've got here, Joe thought about accepting the promotion. I considered voting for him. Here we've got another form, it's called infinitives. So I think they are quite similar. They're often used after the adjective phrase, be plus adjective. Okay, it is important to respect. So you got it is, that's the be verb. Important, that's the adjective, important. To respect your employees. Okay, employees, right? Infinitives are also used after certain verbs such as want, decide, try, hope, need, expect, agree, and learn. Okay, and you can see here, here's the example. She hopes to become a manager one day. And really, it's a very important part of English grammar, and it's good to understand the meaning of an infinitive, the form of a verb that usually goes after to. The form can either be the to infinitive, e.g. to sing, to eat, or the bare infinitive, where there is no to in there. If we go to the IQ Online practice, we can find some resources there and extra activities to do with regards to this. So first of all, you can see that if you go to the page which gives you the practice for Unit 1 and the grammar, there's some drop down menus on that page. You go to the activities, the green box, and then click Unit 1, which is already there, Unit 1 practice. Go down to grammar, gerunds and infinitives, and there are 10 sentences, and you need to choose whether it's an ing or an infinitive. So number 1, everyone on the staff was afraid. Too many questions, so the answer would be to ask, because we've got afraid, which is an adjective. If you go to page 20, you can see that an infinitive are often used after the adjective, so that's what you would put in there. You would put the infinitive. Number 2, Our team needs. So need is a verb, and is it a gerund or infinitive that follows the verb need? If you look at the brown box, you will see the answer in there. Number 3 says, I'm so excited about, and then again, about is a preposition. So which one follows a preposition? Is it gerund or infinitive? And then number 4 is a verb. Which one follows a verb? Expect, the verb expect. So you can see that again in the brown box. And next of all, number 5, jum jum jum, someone can be a stressful experience. Okay, so it's either to fire someone or firing someone. So which one is used as a noun, as a subject? Which one is used as a subject? Is it the infinitive or the gerund? Which one is used as a subject? Okay. And number 6, I'm still trying. So there's the verb, I'm trying, ing. What follows try? Find the verb try in the brown box and choose the correct answer there. So now we're on Unit 2. Let's turn to Unit 2 and turn to page 36, which is the vocabulary from Unit 2. And what I want us to look at here are how to use this vocabulary in from this page and make a short story. So I want you to sort of use the vocabulary here. So on page 36 there's 12 words. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 nouns, 2 adjectives and 2 verbs. So the first noun is anecdote, and if you want to make a story out of this, make sure you use them correctly. So you've got adjectives, make sure you use them appropriately in a sentence. The adjectives appropriate and cautious need to be used appropriately. The nouns too: anecdote, cycle, enthusiasm, investor, morale, norm, reward and trend. And verbs, of course, come after the subject, right? Associate and conduct. So there's lots of ways to use these words in stories. So think about how you can make a story with those words. Part B: which words are difficult and which words are easy? Sort them into a table. So just by yourself, make a table and put on one side of the table the words that are difficult and put on the other side the words that are easy. Try some memorizing techniques to help you. So lots of people have different techniques to memorize them. So you need to memorize their meaning, and you need to memorize their spelling. Maybe you could use flashcards or word lists. There's lots of techniques people use. Some people want to use software and programs online which will help them memorize, or applications. There's a number of ways to do that. And then part D: search the internet and see how some of the words are used in the news. So this is quite easy. If you go to Google and you want to look at the news, Google News, so it's news.google.com, and just type in one of the words. I'm going to type in anecdote, okay? And there's the problem is the website in Korea just brings up Korean news. But if you go to maybe another website that's in English, maybe yahoo.co.uk, okay, and search there. There's a news section there at the top, yahoo.co.uk, and you can click on the word, say anecdote, right? And let's see what news stories come up. News, the word anecdote. Yes, so there's lots of news stories there. If you click on one of those, the first one I found is the story about Howard Stern, and he uses an anecdote in his on his radio show. Okay, so that's something which is, yeah, so that's how they've used it. An anecdote is like a story, you know, and yeah, it's a story. Okay, so you can search for uses on the internet, and another thing you could do is make a short dialogue using those words. Okay, so if you've already listened to the article, you've got an idea of how they can be used. If you listen to the listening activity, you can see how they're used in dialogue anyway, but you can just take a few words from here and make them into a dialogue. Okay, so, and of course you need to find the meanings. If you go onto the IQ Online practice, you can see that there's a practice activity for the vocabulary. They've got 8 words listed. That's not all of them, but 8 of them, and at the bottom of the page there's the definition, and you need to match the word with the definition. For example, as I mentioned before, the word anecdote, and the meaning I can see is a short story about a real person or event, and you just put it in the right place. You finish doing that, and then that's another activity you can do to memorize the vocabulary for this unit. So let's turn to page number 42 now for the grammar. There's a lot of detail here. It's about subjunctive for suggestions. Subjunctive is the simple or base form of a verb, a little bit like an infinitive. For example, go or try. You can use the subjunctive to talk about events that you want to happen or hope will happen. You also use it to make a strong suggestion about something that you think should happen. This structure is formed in 2 ways: suggesting verb plus indirect object plus base form of the verb, suggesting expression plus indirect object plus base form of the verb. Okay, so here we have some examples. His boss recommended that he wear, the base form, so usually it's he wears, right? He wear a suit. Okay, it is important that employees be professionals. So here we have a really strange experience with an indirect object plus the base form. Okay, so that's really unusual. Subjunctive doesn't change form according to the person. You work, he work, they work, you see. So the indirect object there doesn't change the verb form. It doesn't change tense when the main verb is the past tense. I recommended that he work harder. Yeah, that is quite difficult to remember. To make a negative suggestion, insert not between the indirect object and the base form of the verb. Okay, so if you look at the bottom in the table, this is quite important. Some verbs followed by the subjunctive, to advise that, to ask that, to desire that, to insist that, to recommend that, to request that, to suggest that he wear, to request that he wear. Okay, so these verbs are followed by a subjunctive, and some expressions followed by the subjunctive. It's best that he jump. It's desirable that he wear. It's essential that he wear. It's important that he wear. It's recommended that he wear. It's a good idea. So try to remember these expressions and verbs at the bottom here in the table. I think it will be very, very helpful for you, especially when it comes to the test. I just want to recommend that you try to remember those for the test. Okay, now for extra practice, you can go online to the website, go into resources and click on practice and bring up unit 2 practice, and then go to the grammar or subjunctive for suggestions, and in there you've got 6 questions. You need to get all 6, and you need to basically put the choices in the correct place. So for number 1, the teacher recommended that the students read the newspaper. And I believe that is correct. There is no other answers there. The teacher recommended that, so if you go back to page 42, you can see recommend is one of the verbs followed by the subjunctive. If you look at the box at the bottom of the page on page 42, you can see that. So what about number 2? You've got it is important that trust their doctor, patience. How would that begin? What would be the first one? Patience, would that be first? Okay, so think about question number 2. Which one would you do first? Number 3, not it is essential, leave work early, that employees. So which one would be correct there? Okay, I'm going to give you a hint for number 2. I'm going to say it is important is the first part of the sentence. I'm going to give you a hint for number 3. Not it is essential, leave work, that employees. I'm going to give you the last one, number 5. Leave work early is the last one in question number 3. So question number 4. Always insists, a good breakfast, my mother, eat, that we. I'm going to put number 2 is always insists, okay? So you need to fill in the blanks there. So continue with questions 5 and 6, and that is grammar subjunctive for suggestions. Now let's turn to page 54, and it's the listening activity, and we've got 11 different words on page 54. And what you could do there is take those words and make a crossword with them, just to quiz another person in the class, or just to help yourself. You can make a crossword and or even make a word search. So a word search is a picture where it's like a table or a square with a grid, and in the grid are all the words jumbled up though, and you've got to find the words in the grid. And you can make word snakes, and in a word snake all the words are put together, and you can basically join all the words so there's no spaces, and then the words go like a snake, like wiggling along. So it's like in a sentence, making a sentence using those words, and write words with only the consonants if you want. See if you can remember the missing vowels. So for example, if we take the word assume, you just write SSM and try to remember what the word is. Ooh, what's SSM? Oh, it's hard. Okay, so you have to guess. That's a kind of another way to do it. The last one, transition, would be TRNSTN. Try to remember which word that is. And then you could write a crazy story using some of the words, okay? So if we look at the words, we can see there's assume, carefree, contradiction, contribute, initiation, marker, milestone, morally, pinpoint, run, and transition. Okay, and if we go to the book, if we go to the website, sorry, we can find the vocabulary practice for Unit 3 there under resources, and there are 8 questions, and each question has a statement, and you've got to reply with the response. So the responses are at the bottom, and you meant to put the response in the correct place. So if you go to the resource website on Unit 3, if you need help with that, please let me know. Okay, so the first question is, the business is going through a big transition. And then you need to look at the bottom and find out which one is correct. and it's not very easy. And there's a phrase or a question there that says, who is running the office during the change? So that would be the correct answer. So while you're listening to me, I hope that you can log on to IQ Online and try to do the unit practice for Unit 3. Okay? So read those statements and then try to put in the correct response. So, and each sentence has a word from the book. So the second one says, there seems to be a contradiction between what politicians say and what they do. So the word that's from the book is contradiction. And if you remember what the word contradiction means basically, I'm going to look up in the dictionary to get the meaning from the dictionary. Something that you contribute or do to help people or achieve something together with other people. Contribution, oh, so that's contribution, not contradiction. Let me look again. Contradiction means the fact of something being the complete opposite of something else, or very different from something else, so that one of them must be wrong. So there's some sort of contradiction. It's different to paradox. Paradox means two seemingly opposite things actually are compatible, but in this case it's saying that these opposite things are in no way compatible and cannot be together. So the question there for number 2 on the IQ Online, there seems to be a contradiction between what politicians say and what they do. Okay? And then you try to find a good statement there, and I think the best one is, I agree, it's hard to know who to believe. Okay, so that's about politicians, corrupt politicians. Now let's turn to page 67, still in Unit 3, but now we're going to look at the grammar, and this grammar point is about phrasal verbs, and there are lots of phrasal verbs which we use in English. So if you can see there's a table there. I put a table on the left of the picture, picture there, and there's 3 prepositions at the top: up, out, and in. And then there's these 6 verbs, and up is used with the verb bring and break. Bring up, break up. Bring up means to bring up it's like raising a child, bringing up a child. Breaking up is when you break up with your girlfriend. And then there's the preposition out. Check out this person, check out their music, or check out of a hotel. Cross out means to cross out with a pen, cross out someone's name. In has to fill in this form. Fill in the form, write in the form your name and details. Give in means to give up, to quit. Do you give in? Yes, I give up, I give in. Okay, or I give in could be also some other meaning, but in this case give in means to give up. So look at some new phrasal verbs from the internet. So if you go on the internet, there's probably a massive list of phrasal verbs. There's even phrasal verb dictionaries that you can find, and they'll give you lots of phrasal verbs. Basically, split the verbs from the preposition. Can you put the prepositions with the right verbs, like I've done in that table? Okay, and then I've said make a table with different prepositions at the top. Try to arrange different verbs correctly under each preposition. Okay, so if we go to the book on page 67, the brown box has a definition of the phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs are verbs that consist of 2 words used together. The first word is a verb and the second word is called a particle. Particles sometimes look like prepositions, but they have different meanings. The verb and the particle together make a new meaning. For example, take on is a phrasal verb. When you put the word take and on together, they mean to accept. Accept. So there's that famous song, take on me, accept me, okay? And then he took on a lot of responsibilities. There's an example there. If you continue down the brown box, there's two types of phrasal verbs. There's transitive phrasal verbs and intransitive phrasal verbs. Transitive phrasal verbs are transitive phrasal verb requires a direct object, okay? And they give you an example. He picked up his brother. They need that direct object. Most transitive phrasal verbs are separable. This means the direct object can also go between the verb and the particle. So he picked his brother up, he picked up his brother, same, this the same. When the direct object is a pronoun, it must go between the verb and the particle. He picked him up is correct, he picked up him is definitely not correct. Now, some transitive phrasal verbs are inseparable. This means the direct object cannot go between the verb and the particle. For example, look after. My mother is busy today, so I'll look after the baby. My mother is busy today, so I'll look the baby after is totally incorrect. Intransitive phrasal verbs don't take a direct object at all. They are never separable. In some situations, children grow up faster than in others. It can be difficult to understand the meaning of a phrasal verb by looking at the words that make it up. Also, some phrasal verbs have more than one meaning. When you learn a new phrasal verb's meaning, you must also learn if it is a transitive or intransitive and whether it is separable or inseparable. If you go to the IQ online, you can do some more practice here, and again go to the Unit 3 practice, choose the grammar phrasal verbs, and number 1, child prodigies have to grow more quickly up. Is that correct or incorrect? It's totally incorrect. Child prodigies have to grow up quickly is the correct one. In this case, grow up does not split and it's an intransitive verb. Now we're on the last unit, so let's go to page 86, and we're turning to vocabulary on page 86, and there's 10 words there, and we're going to look at grammar and vocabulary in this unit. So the first thing I want to say is I want you to read out these words, practice reading them in a dramatic voice. So you can try to use emotion. Emotion will help you memorize these. So you can make a dramatic dialogue using the words. There's amateur, apprentice, clone, gallery, identify with, marketing, operation, overseas, regard, and unique. There's actually one phrasal verb in there, identify with. We talked about phrasal verbs in the last chapter. And there's also an adverb, overseas. So an adverb modifies the verb. He lives overseas might be a modification of a verb using the adverb. So try to use emotional, dramatic voices when you say the word. He's an amateur. You could say that. Or apprentice. You know, use anger or sadness. Oh, clone. Okay? And just go through different dramatic emotions, practicing those words, and it will help you to memorize them. You can also spell the words. Practice to spell them. Try to memorize the spelling. For example, the word apprentice, I'm going to try to spell it without looking at the word. A-P-P-R-E-N-T-I-C-E. And I'm correct. Okay. Spell the words. Find out what words are associated with them. So, for example, the word gallery. What is a gallery? Well, it's associated with paintings and art and drawings and artists and paint and pencils and photography, and you could think of many words that are associated with one of them. Think of many words associated with them. For example, overseas could be nations, countries, the ocean, islands. Okay, so think of words associated with each of those, and then why not think about their antonyms and synonyms, or similar words, you know. So for example, if we think of the word unique, what would be a synonym or an antonym of unique? Common would be the antonym of unique, right? It's the opposite. Unique means special, so special might be considered a synonym. Okay, and if you go to Google Images, try to find what photos come up when you put them in. For example, the word clone. If you put the word clone in there, what comes up? Is it Star Wars? Because there's lots of clones in the movie Star Wars. So think about that. Go to the internet and look for those online. And of course I want you to go to the practice on the IQ Online. If you go to practice unit 4 for the vocabulary, there are 8 words there. The first one is amateur. Amateur, what does that mean? An amateur. So, and you at the bottom are the definitions of the word. Again, you could use your Cambridge dictionary. I would recommend the online dictionary. I mean, if I'm going now to the online dictionary and look up the word amateur, it comes up with the word taking part in an activity for pleasure, not as a job. So if I was to find the meaning in the activity and on the IQ Online webpage, someone who is not a professional would probably go there, right? And the next word is a gallery. As I mentioned it before, a gallery is a place where there's arts and paintings. So if I look through the options, there's one that says a room or building for showing crafts. Oh yeah, it's like that. It shows crafts, arts and crafts. So perhaps that is the correct answer for gallery. The next one is identify with. It's that phrasal verb, isn't it? To identify. And it's, I think, going to either be to feel that you share the feelings of someone else. So that's what I think it means. To identify with someone, to feel that you share the feelings of someone else. Okay? So I would put it there. That's a very important thing. To identify with somebody. Who do you identify with? Do you identify with anyone famous? We're on the last part now for the midterm, and we've done a lot today. We've listened to a lot. It's quite intense, it's difficult. The last part is about present perfect and present perfect continuous tense. So you can find this on page 93, and I'm going to look at the definition first on page 93, and then I will talk about it. I will talk about the IQ Online practice page as well, and we'll go through those questions on the slide here, on the picture in the video here. So first of all, present perfect can describe actions that happened at an unspecified time in the past. The present perfect construction is has, have, plus past participle. Carl Baxter has finished another cabin, so it's an unspecified time in the past. The present perfect also describes actions that started in the past and continue in the present time. The words for and since are used to describe actions that started at a definite time in the past. She has made quilts for 12 years. He has built cabins since 2002. The present perfect is often used to talk about past actions that happened more than once in the past. We've seen a lot of incredible cabins lately. Okay? And then if we go to the present perfect continuous, this describes actions that started in the past but were not finished. The present perfect continuous construction is has, have, plus been, plus present participle. Dave Black has been thinking about studying architecture in Chicago. So he started thinking about it in the past and is still thinking about it. Okay, so he hasn't stopped thinking about it basically. And there's some more examples there. So think about, let's go to the slide here, questions A, B, C and D. Think about the differences between what present perfect is used for and what present perfect continuous is used for. What are the differences there? Well, if you go to page 93, you can see the differences written down. That would help you to understand the differences. Write a news story with these tenses used. So you can see there's two news articles there. Bat child escapes and Hillary Clinton adopts alien baby. This is not real, it's fake news. But maybe you can make up a news story, a fake news story, using present perfect and present perfect continuous. Try to find some Facebook posts or stuff on social media that uses these two tenses. Find examples on the internet of present perfect or present perfect continuous. I think the easiest way to do that is type in the word have or has and see if it's followed by present participle, okay? So for example, has been thinking, maybe if you put has, you can find has been. If you write has been or have been, you will find an ing maybe after that in the internet. If I do a quick search on Yahoo, for example, and I put has been, it comes up with has been, lots of has been praised, but no ing. So you need to search through that to see has been confirmed. Okay, so I don't know, it might be quite difficult to find the ing. Okay, but if you look through that, through the website, you might be able to find them. Okay, here we go. Coronavirus has been spreading across the world. There we go, that's an example of an ing. Okay, and let's go to the website as well. Make sure you go onto IQ Online, and there is a grammar part there. You'll need to listen to each grammar, each sentence, and say and click whether it's present perfect continuous or present perfect. So you'll need to first of all go to the practice online and try to figure that one out. Okay, so there's lots of things you can do to prepare for the test, and there's you can also find some stories and take the verbs from the stories and change them into present perfect and present perfect continuous. Okay, that's been chopped off at the end there, but you can change them into present perfect and present perfect continuous. That's the end of the video. I'll see you in class.